So what is a day porter and how do they transform your commercial cleaning business? Also, how do you price for these positions? How do you know how much one can handle and what their scope looks like? Also, how do you go about hiring a day porter? If you are a commercial cleaning business owner and you're wanting to scale your business into 7 figures and beyond, then you're gonna get the answers to those questions about how to use day porter services inside of your commercial cleaning company to take it to that next level. So stay tuned to the end so that you know how to apply these services to your commercial cleaning company and your clients so that you can continue to add more and more revenue. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Matt. I'm a 7-figure commercial cleaning CEO. We built our company up from scratch and it runs on less than 5 hours a week. If you want the full blueprint and systems on exactly how to do that, then check out the links down below. All right, so before we can talk about how to price, scope, and hire for day porter services, let's understand exactly what they are. A day porter is essentially someone that goes into a facility to clean it during hours of operation. That's typically during the daytime, therefore it's called a day porter. Now, when offering these services or when a client is requesting them from you, they might also call it a custodial position, janitorial position, or a cleaning technician. And also, day porter positions aren't always full-time because there are many opportunities when a client simply just wants someone to come in and take care of some key areas, maybe some key bathrooms and a key break room, and it might take just 2 to 4 hours for somebody during the middle of the day to do that. But in most cases, whenever a client is requesting a day porter, they're asking for a full-time individual to be on site. And so essentially a day porter is bridging the cleanliness gap from the evening cleaning, right? So in most classic office cleaning scenarios, you're looking at having a team come in after hours and press a reset button essentially, right? But a day porter can come in if the facility has an especially high level of traffic and take care of those areas that just might get mucked up pretty quick throughout the day. And then the client is much happier having a much cleaner facility, and your team in the evening actually doesn't have as hard of a time now because it's being handled partially during the day. And so a quick tip with day porter services is they are a fantastic upsell to any of your busy clients, even clients that maybe have complained or had feedback in the past about some areas that just keep not looking the way they want, right? And you guys keep trying your best to make it look great by the end of the night. You've got photo proof and all these things. Maybe it's just that the actual traffic that's happening in that facility is so heavy in those bathrooms, break rooms, areas, whatever it is, that they just need some extra attention during the middle of the day. So offering a day porter service is an excellent upsell to increase the contract value and client happiness. The one thing that you must make sure about with day porters is that they are professionally uniformed. Because yes, your evening team can come in. I know some companies, a lot of people wear shorts and different attire, right? They maybe just wear a t-shirt with a logo, something like that. But a day porter, they're going to need to look a little bit more snazzy, right? Maybe their pants need to meet a certain code. Maybe their shirt is a button-up of sorts, or it's a polo, or they wear a certain vest and everything's logoed and looking good. They also need to present themselves well and professionally in the face of your clients and their customers. And when your day porter is presented that way and it's implemented correctly in the way that we're about to talk about, it actually improves the stickiness of your contracts. There are many times when we have been talking with a potential client and they just absolutely hate what's going on in the evening. They say they can't staff it, their cleaning is terrible, but they love the person they have during the day. And it's so ironic because even then the cleaning is oftentimes not that great because they've got the same management and training as the evening crew does, right? But they're just attached to the person because they have a face to the name. They know them. They can ask them to do special things. They can have a relationship with them. So whenever you have a day porter service and people get attached to them, they attach to your brand and it makes your contract with them a lot more sticky. All right, so now we know that day porters are great. Let's talk about how to actually do this. Here are some things that you need to know whenever it comes to pricing day porter services. The first thing that we have to recognize is that if we're going to have that professional presentation, and it's going to be during typical working hours at a client facility, that the person that's going to take that on is typically not going to be able to have another day job. They might have an evening job or help you out in the evenings, whatever it is, but typically it means they have to give up some other employment opportunities in order to work that time of the day. And therefore, you're going to have to expect to pay a little bit more in actual wages to them. As a simple example, let's say that you pay your evening team approximately $15 per hour. Now, based on your market and your circumstances and the job itself, you can always adjust that. But typically, we're looking at starting our day porters at about $2 per hour ahead of our evening team. Now, this does change a little bit if it's a situation where they don't have full-time work laid out for them for that entire day. Let's say they just got to clean 5 days a week for 2 or for 4 hours at a client facility and they don't have anything else to go do. We're going to pay them a lot more, but we're going to do what's called piecework in that scenario. And what piecework simply means is that no matter how long it takes them to clean, they're going to get paid the same fixed amount. And in general, that fixed amount is going to be higher than just an hourly wage. And that's just because we have to compel somebody to actually show up on the job, do what they need to do, and actually sacrifice the ability to have another job during the day that could disrupt this one. Now, you might be thinking, Matt, why would I want to take on that kind of expense and pay someone so much more money? Well, you got to remember, the client is the one paying for this, and it makes the contract even more sticky, and you're going to be making profit on this anyways. And that leads to one other consideration when it does come to day porters. And this is just the philosophy in my company from what I've seen work in my market. So this is something that is not guaranteed to be the case in your market. But in our scenario here where I am, day porters are typically marked up a little bit less than the evening team. And that leads to the actual pricing. How much should you actually charge a client for day porter services? You've got two main methods. You can either charge an actual hourly rate to the client, or you can charge a fixed rate that's really based on an hourly rate. You just don't tell them that they're buying a certain amount of hours. So what it looks like if they're buying certain amounts of hours is you give them an hourly rate with a markup over your cost, right? So let's say you're paying 17. Let's just, for simple math, say you're going to charge $30 per hour, right? So you just tell the client it's $30 per hour, however many hours they work, unless it gets into overtime, right? Changes right there. You got to account for that cost. But if they work 7 hours one day, 8 hours on another, you send these reports to them and you adjust your bill accordingly. Now, what we like to do is actually charge a fixed rate for the day porter. So they tell us, yes, they want a full-time person on site or a 4-hour person on site, whatever it is, and we give them a fixed cost. So that's going to be $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month. They want 4-day porters, right? We're looking way up there as far as the actual cost, right? We're getting into 6-figure levels there. And what we found in our market, now this may be different in your market, but it's worth considering, is that typically day porters are not marked up as much. And here's what I mean. When it comes to evening cleaning, we don't have to be there for a specific amount of hours, right? We can actually earn ourselves more profitability by investing in equipment and training and speeding things up, right? So if we originally estimate an evening clean to be $1,000 a month, for example, right? Let's say it's going to take 2 hours per night to clean. Well, if we can work that 2 hours down to an hour and a half, well, we can still charge $1,000, right, per month and save a lot of money and make even more profit for our diligence. And that's just not the case with day porters because the client wants them there for a certain amount of time and they want the gaps filled if they're not there. A gap is simply if someone's not going to be there from 6 to 7, who is, right? And if there's not, then they need some sort of credit put in place. So because there's not a lot of flexibility in the actual hours, but there's a lot more volume of hours every single day, right? You're looking at 8 hours, 5 days a week, 7 days a week. And then if you have extra day porters, right, stacked on top, that's a lot of volume. And once they're in place, they don't take much to manage. So therefore, you don't need to mark it up, say, like we would double our cost essentially for the evening time, right? As an example. Well, in a day porter situation, we're typically going to mark them up around 30 to 35%. And I've actually seen multiple scenarios where someone just applies a fixed rate, right? They might just say whatever the cost of the day porter is plus $500 a month or $1,000 a month per day porter. Or they scale it, right? The first 5-day porters are $1,000 a month with their markup, no matter what their actual cost is, and that's reported to the client. And then if anyone beyond those 5-day porters would be at $750 or $500 a month. Because how much extra management does it take from the ownership to manage a team like that, right? You've got other management involved and it's not that much harder every time you add a day porter. It actually makes things a lot easier. So you can pass efficiencies like that forward to your client by reducing the price. And that's really what most clients expect with day porters whenever we have been in all these different bidding scenarios. And as another piece of insight, I've even seen where some companies will go as low as 20 to 25% on their markup of a day porter. Again, it just depends on the volume and the scale of the job and how many porters are going to be involved. And that actually leads into what to expect with the day porters on site. Because if a client is going to be heavily involved in the lives of the day porters and their actually jobs. So we have a client who really wants our team to feel like they're a part of their team. Now, as a quick tip, you want to be sure that inside of your agreement or your contract with that client, that they have a no solicitation clause for your employees, right? They can't just like take your employees and offer them better pay and then you're out of luck, right? You just did the hiring for them and they took them. You don't want that scenario. But we do have a great client who just really cares about everyone in their facility. So in those scenarios, the pricing can be adjusted if those clients are also involved in the training or having other management aspects with your team. So essentially you are acting like a staffing service in a way, but you're still expected to come in and do inspections, manage and train as well. But you can always adjust the price and negotiate it based on how much involvement your client has with the people on site from your team. When it comes to the actual scope of day porters inside a facility, which just simply means what are they doing and how much of it are they doing? Typically, day porters are going to be focused on higher traffic areas, heavier use areas inside of a facility, while the evening team is going to be focused on all the other stuff, right? They're going to be taking care of just general office spaces where people are working on computers and you don't want to go in and interrupt them, right? Day porters are going to be mostly in bathrooms, break rooms, main walkways. They can even be on call for any immediate needs by a facility manager. And here's a pro tip based on what we see on average in our company when it comes to how much can a day porter really handle. Typically, a day porter can handle a zone within a facility that has about 30 to 40 bathroom fixtures. And what I mean by bathroom fixtures is an area that has a combined total of toilets and sinks of around that 30 to 40 mark. So that area also has walkways in it and break rooms in it and common areas in it and other things that day porters might take part in. And that is included in that total, in the consideration for all of that. So whenever you're walking through a facility and let's say they have like these large bathrooms, right? They got a large women's locker room, they got a large men's locker room, typically in an industrial scenario. This one has 10 toilets, this has 10 toilets, this one has 10 sinks, right? So those are very large restrooms, and that's probably going to mean that there's a large area, right? There's probably a large break room in that area. There's a lot of walkways. There's a lot of traffic coming in. That means that a single day porter is going to be able to typically handle all of that and hardly much else. It's going to be a stretch to get them to handle much else beyond that. Now, as a quick disclaimer, every client facility is different, and oftentimes a client will know how many people they need on site because they have experience with already having those people on site, whether they've had them on their own team or it's from another company that had them there, and they'll let you know, yeah, they did not have enough or they were just moving too slow, and you'll be able to gauge it. But I usually start with that 30 to 40 bathroom fixtures mark. Remember, it's a combined total of bathroom sinks and bathroom toilets. So if you're looking at a total facility with around 60 to 80 total sinks and toilets combined, then you're looking at probably needing 2 day porters. Again, every facility is unique, but that's a general benchmark that I'm thinking of when I'm walking through it. Now, a way that you can boost profitability with day porters, if you're allowed to have enough on site and if there is an evening team involved, is you can move as many of the evening tasks forward as possible. So are there any weekly items, monthly items, specialty items, or any other parts of the cleaning that can be moved to the time of the day porter, right? Because if a day porter has to be there for a full 8 hours, and the evening team, though, can just fluctuate however many hours they are there, then whatever you can do to reduce the hours that your evening team needs to be there, that is where you can actually improve your profitability and save on costs. And therefore, your day porters will need to be a bit more productive with their time. You got to be careful, though. You don't want to overload your day porters, stress them out, cause turnover, cause them to have a poor work ethic, or to do things poorly as they go through on their essential tasks. And here's another pro tip when it comes to using day porters. If you have multiple involved on site, we like to use overlapping shifts. So that way, let's say, for example, there's one that comes in, say, at 7 a.m. and they work until 2 or 3. We want to have another one come in from, let's say, 10 o'clock and work to 6, and then the evening team starts at 6. And there's some overlap and some extension there of full coverage. Everything's still getting covered, but there's a little more extended time that we're in the facility, and there's not an odd gap. Like if we had 2 people there from 7 to 2 or 3, then there's this gap, right, until 6 o'clock when the evening team arrives. Clients love it whenever you propose overlapping shifts. We found that it actually boosts morale, it boosts productivity, it allows everyone, we can segment certain things into certain pockets throughout facilities. It makes things a lot more efficient. And clients see it as a thoughtful way to continually provide coverage for their facility. Now, when it comes to hiring day porters, this is where it can get a little bit more difficult until you have a larger day porter team or a daytime staff. Because if you've mostly been building your commercial cleaning company up in the evenings and you haven't gotten many large contracts yet, then when you get your first day porter role, it is typically going to involve more of your time to get them started or more of your management's time to get them started. Because what you don't want to do is train them and start them just like you do with your evening team. Because typically in the evening, you have the strength of your existing team that's already out there. You can send someone out to complete their training with them. Whereas with a day porter, they didn't sign up for an evening job. They're wanting to work daytime hours. So here's a real quick overview of what to do on what day. On day 1, since typically a day porter is going to be involved in a very large facility, you want to just take that day to tour them around. I recommend you walking them through, showing them everything, starting where they're supposed to start, right? Go in the same door, go to the same storage area where they're supposed to go to, and then go from that area to wherever they need to go in the facility. Walk them the same path that they're going to need to follow in the order of things they need to do, and then go right back to the very beginning. Have them walk you into the facility. Then have them walk you from wherever they're at in the facility to the start area. Then walk from the start area back around the path and have them do that with you 2 or 3 times and make sure that they lock it in. And that's all that you need to do for day 1 of their training. For day 2 of their training, you had a couple different options. If it's a brand new account, this is where you want to do on-site training, right? You want to actually do the job with them, have someone there to get them started, ideally to work the whole shift with them. Now, if they are comfortable with the facility after that first day of walking through, they may not need someone there the entire day. The best thing to do is make sure you just have everything listed out and ordered out. Use an app like CleanSmarts or have the instructions on site so that they don't get lost in what tasks they have to do when. Now, what about a scenario where you hired someone that's going to replace someone that's a day porter? Because you don't want to show up with this new person and start walking through the facility and training them while that other person is there, because then all the bad stuff that's around, it says, the saying goes, one bad apple ruins the bunch, right? If they interact with the one who's doing a bad job, then that's going to affect how the new one does their job. So you want to isolate them from that scenario. So typically what we'll do is do the day 1 walkthrough at a different time of day, whether that's earlier in the morning or it might be in the evening if it needs to be. Then the day 2 training is done off-site, whether that's at our office or is at a different facility. Sometimes, yeah, it needs to be in the evening or at a time when that other person is not there. But it's only for that one day and that one time. Now, the reason we also break that up into 2 different days is because we want to be sure that they actually want to stay on the job. Because let me ask you this, how many hires have you made and then after the first day, they quit, or they just didn't even show up the first day? Well, you especially don't want that to happen with a day porter scenario, because that client is depending on day porter presence. Even if the one that you're replacing isn't fantastic, at least they're showing up, right? They're having some sort of presence, and as long as your client knows that you're working on replacing them, then they're going to be just fine. And so what you have to do as a commercial cleaning business owner is provide a seamless switch. You've got to let the person know they no longer have a job because of the poor performance. You better have done your work as well as an owner or as a manager of a commercial cleaning company to have worked with them beforehand. And then you got to seamlessly replace them with the new person. So after working with them for a couple days and meeting with them a couple times, helping them get familiar and used to things, you'll have a better idea of them and how they'll do and how well you feel about how they'll do. And that leads to day 3, which is their first official shift on their own. Look, when you're scaling to 7 figures and beyond, you're going to run across day porter scenarios, and you need to be able to confidently apply those services to those facilities so that you can win them over as clients. And not only this, there might be some clients that you have now that would really appreciate to have someone come by for a couple hours every single day or every other day. You can have a whole other service line set up producing revenue inside of your commercial cleaning company. If you do want to set your commercial cleaning up to run on as little as 5 hours a week and to scale to 7 figures, then check out the links down below so that you can get access to the janitorial millionaire blueprint and systems that I used to do just that with my commercial cleaning company. That's why I'm able to sit here and make these videos and help you out. I hope this video has been a blessing to you, and it really does help you scale your commercial cleaning company. Again, my name's Matt. I did build my 7-figure commercial cleaning company up from 7 figures, and it is set to run on as little as 5 hours per week, and it still does. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and until next time, keep building.